Today I'm going to be sharpening this Zwilling Kramer Damascus chef's knife. It's not super dull, but it's got a bit of damage here that I'm hoping to fix today. You can see there, it's got a ding in it, and the tip here is just kind of uneven in its sharpening. It gets kind of wide out here, and the bevel's greater, and the tip you can see also has some damage. This knife was unfortunately dropped on the floor, and you know, life happens. This is a knife that actually gets used. That's what we're going to do today. It is SG2 steel, and I'm going to be using the PDTools silver stones. And I don't expect this to take too much time to get fixed. The damage isn't too bad. We'll kind of see how it goes. My goal isn't to get 100% of the damage out, just kind of improve it without removing too much metal. This is a knife that I want to keep around for a long time. So let's get a little bit of marker on here and get started sharpening. I have already preset my angles on this one, so I'm hoping it won't take very long here. And it's a little bit awkward with the way I've got this set up with the camera, so bear with me here. And this is using the 125 grit premium silver CBN stone, and it's doing a nice job here. This is a SG2 steel, so it's not super tough steel to sharpen, but you know, it does a nice job here. It's biting, it's giving some good feedback, and I'm not really trying to reprofile. I'm trying to kind of match the factory edge on this one. And I think this is a pretty good grit for a lot of situations to start off with. It's not so aggressive that it's going to have carbide tear out on your higher carbide steels, but it's also not so fine that it's going to take you forever. You're not, you know, starting on 1,000 grit like you see a lot of people online saying you should on chef's knives. That's just more for maintenance, not work like this where you're fixing a tip, trying to take out a chip, or at least trying to reduce a chip. In here, and this is a technique for helping the tip, you just kind of run it directly like this. And I can see it's starting to get loose there, so tighten that back. Match that scratch pad and redefine that. Getting a little bit dry, so I'll add another squirt of water here. Trying to sharpen evenly here and just get everything taken care of. And we'll take a look at what this looks like under the microscope here in just a second. I can see the chip is greatly reduced in size on this, so I think we're getting to it there. So I can feel a burr here in the middle pretty good. Could have some more on the heel, and the tip I really don't feel one at all yet, or at least this last little bit. Still kind of wavy back here. I'm not a big fan of that, so I'll probably work on that just a little more. Let's take a look on the microscope though. So yeah, we're making some progress. So there's the chip itself. Still got a little bit ways to go if I want to completely remove it. So we can see the bevel here does still get wider, and I think we're just going to have that with the tip regardless. But we can see that we're not hitting the bottom of the bevel there on the tip, so we need to remove some more material. And the tip still needs some refinement. I may end up K-tipping this slightly because I don't want to remove a ton of metal or else shoe it. So we'll work on the tip area a little bit more. I guess go back here and work on the heel and get a burr raised there. So we can see there the chip area is better, not perfect, and the bevel area tip is coming along. It's still not perfect either, but it's better. I think what I'm going to do is flip over and work on the other side some, and then come back to this side A that I'm calling it. I want to try and keep things relatively similar on both sides. This is a working knife, so it doesn't have to be perfect. And if you know, you know. I just feel better having this at an angle on this back side, and I know it's not conventional, but it's what works for me, and I'll kind of rotate it as I go along here. And after watching some videos on Zwilling's YouTube, I believe these knives are hand ground, and it sure feels that way. They're not super even. Kind of surprising for this price category that the quality control's not a little bit better. I wouldn't call it bad, but it's not amazing. At least on the sharpening job. It came very sharp, don't get me wrong, but the bevels aren't super even. And we can see that on the tip here. This backside is just better. It's a lot more even than it was on the front side. So I guess somebody slightly raised their elbow when they were sharpening this on a large wheel. And we kind of ran this one dry, so that it's not the best thing to do. It makes more load up on the stones. So I'll try and keep a little bit better eye on that here. And I'm guilty of putting too much pressure when I sharpen. It's really better if you use less. So I'm constantly kind of reminding myself, hey, use less pressure. And you want to be careful with this swarf too, because it does contain abrasives. On a knife like this that's pretty Damascus, you just be careful when you're wiping it away. I'll probably actually flood it a little bit with more water just to add increased lubrication when I go to wipe this off in a minute. This stone's doing pretty good. It's giving me nice feedback about what's going on here. I can kind of tell by feel when it's starting to get a little bit dry. And the sound's not bad. I know some people are particular about the sound of stones. And I'm going to have to look into why my cadet here is loosening the clamp before I want it to. And I can just see a little flat spot on this, so I'm just trying to work this just a little bit more to smooth that out. Because this being the lowest grit stone I'm going to use on this, you really want to do a bulk of your material removal now. And again, very little pressure to wipe this off. You want to get those abrasives onto your microfiber, not onto the side of the knife. So after sharpening here and wiping it off, I can just run my fingernail across it and that chip is gone. So we've removed it. Let's take a look at our edge here. Yeah, we couldn't even tell where that chip is on this thing at all. So that's great to see. Still widens out on the bevel a little more than I want to, but so does the other side. And that tip could use a little bit more work as well. We'll work on that as we go along here. And I can already tell just that little bit of extra work is really starting to define this tip. We're getting dry, so we'll put another spray on. All right, I think we're done with that side. Give it a spray and a wipe down. Yeah, that's looking clean. Pretty good sized burr raised on the other side. A little bit wider at the tip here than I'd like, but that's okay. We've got the damage out of it. We've got the tip defined a little more. So we'll work a little bit more on this side. And then we'll move on to the next stone. And you can really hear that initial area when I get on to the burr. You can hear it cutting that burr off. That's normal, especially when you're removing metal like this. We'll look at the tip here. It's getting better. It's not perfect. It's getting better though. I did kind of hit it with my edge of my stone there and probably rounded off some of the progress I had, but it's getting better. And we're probably a little narrow in here, so I'll probably work this area just a little bit more. So overall, we're getting there. Last night, I ended up completing the 160 grit on this knife, so I've got it all apexed and nice. It's got a pretty nice burr on it. And we're going to work on the rest with this 285 grit and keep going. Got a little bit different camera angle, so hopefully that helps. I wasn't really happy with the angle I had on the first stone there, so hopefully this is better. Trying to use the full length of the stone, promote even wear, and just makes the process go a little quicker. Results here look pretty good. Nice refinement on the edge. In the interest of time, I will sharpen this other side off camera and come back for side A with the next stone. And we're on to the next stone here, 550 grit PDTools Premium Silver CBN. And I've already checked the thickness of it, and we'll get it on here. These subsequent stones really don't take a whole lot of time to flip that burr and refine the scratch pattern on these. So it really goes pretty quick. And I kind of like to keep my scratch patterns going all the same direction. Sometimes I'll alternate as well. If I'm trying to go for like a mirror polish or something, which I'm not on this knife, I will alternate so you can tell you've gotten all the scratches from the previous stone off. I kind of find this left to right motion for me works really well. And as we build up in grits, I'll try and take some larger strokes at the end here, and it's kind of hard with this knife just because of its size, so it might end up being 2 on this one. Let's take a look at this one now, and I can feel a burr is flipped here, so I don't think I really need to go any further. A little bit more noticeable burr down here at the end, but it's still there all the way across. I mean, you can't argue with that. That's a nice clean bevel. The bevel does widen up here at the tip, which isn't really what I want, but kind of the geometry of the knife. That is one thing about these PDTool stones. They really do refine and look nice, the scratch patterns. I think I'm going to take this one all the way up to the 4000, which I really haven't used yet, to see what that looks like. So I'll be back on the flip side when we change stones. Okay, next stone will be the Premium Silver, or 1100 grit. This is a 20 micron stone, roughly. I've already checked for height. I'll get this. And this feels really nice. It's really smooth as we go up, but you can still tell there's some bite there, and it's just nice to refine. On a lot of kitchen knives, I think this is where I'd probably stop grit-wise, and because I think a little bit of tooth is nice. But on this one, I'll go all the way up to the 4000 because I haven't used it yet, and we'll kind of see what that does. I think the steel will take it really nice. And as you build up in grits here, it gets harder and harder to feel that burr. So what I think I'll do here is run this piece of balsa wood down the edge of the knife, because that can be another way to kind of remove burr. Yeah, this is really nicely defined and refined on here. There's probably a few scratches I can see every once in a while from the previous stone, so I might do just another couple of passes here. Yeah, looks really nice looking bevel. These stones don't seem to load up that much either. You can see there's some metal on there. I'll go ahead and wipe it, and I think that's nice with high grit stones. Sometimes high grit stones really build up quick. So we'll do a little bit of scrubbing, and then I'll come back and do a few sweepers and take care of any of those remaining scratches left. Okay, we're going to finish this knife off with this Expert Pro Stone from PDTools. It is 4000 grit, 3 to 5 nanometers size abrasive, and it is a metal resin hybrid bonded stone. They don't actually call it hybrid, but it's a mix of the two, I guess. I haven't really used this one much. Played with it a little bit, so we'll kind of see how it goes. Before I do that, let's just kind of look here. This is the finish that 1100 gave, so let's kind of see what the next grit up will do. I'm going to use the same soapy water on this one. It does feel immediately different. It feels slicker, it feels smoother, not nearly as much bite. And I think that probably makes sense just with the, it's a much finer abrasive. We're going from 20 micron, 14 to 20 micron down to, this is 5 and 3, so, you know, 3x the size difference there. Very quiet stone. If you were running glass across the knife edge, that's almost how I describe this one. It just feels that way. It just skates across. I'll give it a little bit more lubrication just so we don't load up. I think I'm going to call it there. And I can already see the shine on this one. Not perfect edge removal. I think if you were going for a mere polish, this might not be the best grit progression to do, but this is a user knife and I'm not going for that, nor was I really trying. Definitely some refinement. I'm going to work on this tip just a little bit more, and then we'll flip sides. I could immediately tell there I didn't have lubrication on this. It just felt different. And remember, don't apply too much pressure. Last thing to do is to do some stropping here. I'm using 3 micron gunny juice. Just going to do this lightly, and then I think I will maybe hand strop with just a little bit of 1 micron that I have, and we'll test it out. So let's test this thing out after stropping, and oh yeah, is that sharp. Cuts paper like no big deal. And even some Uline catalog paper is just easy going. So these PDTools stones worked well on this Kramer. Took out all that damage along the edge here. I'm actually scared to kind of do that because this is sharp. This is as sharp as it's ever been in its life. Fixed a little bit of the tip area, made it a little smoother. That was kind of a complaint when I got it there, but not a mere edge, but pretty reflective and pretty nice looking on this Zwilling Kramer knife Damascus in SG2 steel. Can't wait to cook something with this weekend and try it out. As always, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, and I'll have links to these PDTools stones where you can pick them up if you're interested and learn more about them. Thanks for watching.